we really need to have representation in Washington that will not compromise with these other people, that will call it as it is and speak to the other 434 out there and say, look, as Noam Chomsky has said, again, sometimes we buck heads. It's not like I quote up all the time. He's a good friend of mine, but I think he likes me because we do this sometimes, but always friendly. But these problems, they're created by us, and we just can't continue them to continue. Like what Noman said is you're responsible for the predictable consequences of your actions. And that's what I'm going to point to those other 434 and say, look at what you're doing, how you're compromising with people's lives. Stop it.
Thank you. Candidate Hildebrand.
Great question. 10, 12 years ago, this was a big issue for me. I could see that things were heating up. This is a question that's not put in, that's not factored in. Earlier I talked about weather modification. See those lines that planes leave now? You don't see those prior to 1995. You might be able to show me some old World War II black and white footage. Okay, so they left some things occasionally. But look, this is not jet fuel exhaust. Jet fuel, when you see a vapor trail, that vapor trail leaves right after the plane. Every one of these planes that you see that leaves a line all the way across the sky, you look on your little ID and it's going to say that they don't know who it is. There's a big program, this is probably being done to block the sun's rays, and it's not being factored into the equation because it's not being talked about, which is crazy because it's happening. Chemtrails are real. You will not see crisscross lines. You can look up, you can Google some pictures. I said some cloud formations that you may not have seen. I have X clouds, star clouds, asterisk clouds, all kinds of things that you never saw before and that don't exist in nature. That's because they're tinkering with our atmosphere. And they've been doing it for a long time. When I first met Noam, I said, look at Noam, look at what W said. He said, we haven't figured out how to control the weather yet. And we both had a big chuckle. Well, the laugh was on us. Because I found a 1972 issue of National Geographic entitled, We're Doing Something About the Weather. And that's the first time I saw one of those trails. And in that article, they admitted that they could see it in the eye of a hurricane and it would slow its winds by 30%. Now, how come that wasn't done with Katrina? And how come that wasn't done with Sandy?
Thank you. Thank you. And now an opportunity for a response, Candidate Hildebrand.
Okay, great. Again, industrial hemp. I mean, that's the thing, that what you do is, sure, it has to combust, but you eat up more CO2 in the process of photosynthesis. So that's your answer. We should be growing our own oil. Why aren't we doing that? That's in complete insanity that we're not doing this. You know, and I remember I asked Ralph Nader this back in 2004, and he said, it would be nice if the two candidates talked about the multi-billion-dollar crop that would advance our national security by reducing our reliance on foreign oil. Thank you. Well, make it a little more real, Ralph, okay? That's big, reducing your reliance on foreign oil. That is so huge. And also, as my wife Elaine has discovered in research, that, remember she's running in the 6th, electelaine.com, that you could even make the panels of the cars out of hemp and it will help eat up CO2. Come on, we got problems. But we also need to investigate what is this huge aerial operation going on over our heads that we can't even ask about, because Kucinich put it in the National Security Act of 2001, and then he took it off and updated the bill in 2002, and then he was going to meet up with me, and presumably that's why he backed out, because somebody cried national security. That's the only thing I know that can trump free speech.
Thank you. Candidate Hildebrand.
Okay, the military-industrial complex, Eisenhower warned. He said we must guard against the acquisition of power, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. He was well aware of the UFO issue, and he knew how things with the military-industrial complex were getting out of hand. Let me explain how some of this relates. There have been reports of downed craft NBC Roswell broadcast. And by the way, Roswell was the base for the 509th. They're the ones who bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So don't think these things over here. They have a lot of interest in nukes, these lights. Like it's shutting them down and this and that. But now, a Colonel Philip Corso, who used to be head of foreign technology at the Pentagon, he said he got the Roswell file. And had a lot of stuff in there on things that we were working on. And he said that he took that information and freely gave it to industry for them to make a profit back to us. He didn't realize that, but I mean, he was like, oh, good, they're giving it back to the population. Well, again, because of that secret government thing, we don't hear about that technology or anything like that. So again, and also I want to bring up about this military spending is that like when we give aid, this is before Egypt was overthrown, when we gave aid to them, it was contingent that they buy $3 billion worth of our hardware from us. That's usually, this whole notion of us giving all this money away is a bunch of malarkey. All the countries agreed to give, I think it was 0.7 of their gross domestic product to foreign aid. This is like in the 70s, and like, I don't think anybody met it. So we're not giving it away. It's going to the military-industrial complex, the profiteers. It's got to stop. It's out of hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Hildebrand.
Okay. Once again, I mean, the military, we really need to look at where our funding is going, how it's being wasted. Why is everything secret? We have F-16s flying over our house. I mean, at tree level. They fly a lot, they experiment a lot in our area. They're trying to scare us, it sure hasn't worked. But, we don't even know what we're acquiring technologically. Everything's become so secretive. So I think that, of course, the military spending needs to be cut. The companies need to stop being given tax subsidy. I mean, basically, tax breaks where we end up subsidizing them. That's really out of hand. We need to figure out, not that our enemies are in Washington right now. We've lost control of our situation, okay? We're not alone in the universe, and we're on this planet spinning through space, and we're allowing people in Washington at the height of the information age to not stand for us. I don't care whether you're with me on ET issue or whether you're going to look into it or not. Bottom line, you agree, we could revert the tax structure back to what it was. We could stop outlawing plants, and we could grow our own energy.
Thank you. And now, Candidate Hildebrand.
Okay, this is a very important time of all of our lives. Dr. Edgar Mitchell said, this is at the second to last quote of topconcern.com, we're at a tipping point, a bifurcation point, and it's not clear which way it's going to go. But we are the ones who are going to determine which way it's going to go, and it's up to us. And if we let Robert Hurt win another election, I think all of us need to feel deep shame, even me, okay? Because to allow a monster to buy his way in again is just lunacy. Be able to make it with his wife Emily tonight. Hi, Steve, if you're watching this. He lives right here in Albemarle County. He has taken the testimonies of astronauts, pilots, military personnel, and so forth over 20 years about this whole ET thing. I mean, the wealth of information. And if you think the government investigated something for 20 years that was just a figment of the people's imagination, I mean, please. So again, those issues are true. They're actually modifying our weather. I had somebody killed in a tornado when they were modified. Elaine saw them spraying between clouds. I was walking the dog and the tornado took her. They can't be tinkering with our weather like this. So what we need to do, again, back to the basics. Plan illegalities, get rid of them. End the drug war. Okay, we have 2,300,000 prisoners, more than anyone in the world. We need to revert the tax structure back to what it was like in the 60s, pay off our national debt, okay? And we need to have a more fair, egalitarian society. And I really hope that you vote for me to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give all of our candidates a hand. Thank you, Athens, for joining us, both here in person and viewing at home. And I also want to thank the League of Women Voters, again, the Charlottesville area for hosting this candidate forum, City of Charlottesville, and of course, Channel 10. And remember, vote on November 4th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.